So let me tell you a little bit about my experience hiking through the land of IMAX and giant screen formats and how integral they've been to my life. I got to meet many of the giants of IMAX, interview them, laugh with them, talk movies with them. We weren't friends, but we were friendly, and they were generous with the time that they gave me. We met for coffee or at their offices or at parties. We talked, we brainstormed, they reminisced, we interviewed. They offered suggestions, gave input. They told me if I was on the wrong track or if I was on the right track. They were helpful. Tony Myers, Jonathan Barker, Douglas Trumbull, Colin Lowe, and IMAX co-inventor Graham Ferguson. Sadly, they're all gone now. But those 10 years from 2013 to 2023 were very important to me. Tony had told me how they almost pulled off a kind of a heist in LA by sneaking into a studio when they were trying to get IMAX off the ground. Jonathan told me of Doug Trumbull's time at IMAX. Fritz Meyer told me of how his incredible flying for the IMAX format made at least one passenger soil himself. My experience with IMAX was this. I wrote for James Hyder's LF Examiner, large format magazine. I was in the room filming with my crew when Graham Ferguson received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Giant Screen Cinema Association. And when he passed, they used one of the many images I'd taken of him over the many years. I produced, sponsored, and hosted a 400-plus person IMAX laser projection industry event at the world's first permanent IMAX theater. For a while there, I must confess, I felt a bit like an outsider with the IMAX crowd. Kind of a bit like, who is this black kid? Where did he come from? Why is he interested in this stuff? They were a family, I get that. Many of them had known each other for decades, and whether I knew or valued large screen formats, I was still a bit of an outsider.
Both pavilions required multiple projectors which had to be mechanically synchronized. Graham and Roman envisioned a movie theater with a similar immersive experience, but with one giant screen and one projector.
What I admired most about Graham is the value of tenacity and perseverance. When everyone tells you no, how do you keep going?
The memorable song, Ontario Area, A Place to Stand, is called.
The world loved Expo 67's multi-screen offerings. Sure, the Cinesphere enjoyed throngs of crowds from North of Superior in 71. Filmmakers circled the format, but it wasn't quite viable until they convinced NASA to put those IMAX cameras on the space shuttle in the 80s. In 2023, we produced and hosted a Lifetime Achievement Award at the university for alum Graham Ferguson and discussed with his son Monroe and York University's Dr. Janine Marchessault.
He created a medium that was perfect for him. I think it was, he loved the giant paintings of the Hudson River School. He was always a very visual storyteller. So to have that palette, to have that giant canvas was perfect match for his particular skills as a visual storyteller, as a brilliant cinematographer.
I co-presented the award with the president and the faculty to Graham's family. Graham's son, Monroe, and his family received the award, which resides at University of Toronto Victoria College.
To pursue this dream, they formed a company with Robert Kerr, soon joined by engineer William Shaw and later Bill Bruckelman. The first IMAX camera and IMAX projector were built in time to premiere Roman's Tiger Child at Expo 70.
My love of movies begins as a kid in Barbados with a voracious appetite for classic cinema of the world. My love of the immersive experience predates my love of movies. The immersive experience was compelling for me since my dad pulled out his old, overexposed, reddish flash slides. I thought they were supposed to look like that at the time, and he projected them on the wall for us to see. You know, for me, that was better than movies, because it took me to a larger world, a bigger world, where he'd been, what he had seen and done. And not to mention, at the time, the slides were a lot sharper than what we were watching on TV. The immersive experience that formats like IMAX and others have given us all over the world is take us to that place. Show us things that perhaps we'll never get to see or things we may never ever get to do. But for a moment, take us to that world and let us drink it in.